I figure it's about time to do another update. Just kind of a whole walk around. Um, Not too much different. Obviously, things are growing. It's been raining. It's actually kind of in the middle of a rain right now. Um, some plants are coming back from a lot of heat stress, like this. Plenty of Ariana here. I think this is the Rosa de Pescos RDP. Um, it's not been looking super hot, but I haven't been giving it enough attention. I think it's just, I mean, the new growth looks good, so I'm not too worried about it, but, it'll figure itself out. But, um, just looking around. But yeah, I've been sorting through these little jaboticabas over here. So these are mostly reds, but I did have some Sabra in here, and I moved the Sabra that were in the little pots over here. But I think some of them might actually be red seedlings. I'm not sure. I'll have to go through and, like, once they grow out more, like these ones are kind of suspect. Just looking at the leaves, like they're not quite Sabra-y, but like you look at these ones and I'm like 100% sure that that's a Sabra. I mean, assuming I'm correct there. Although some of them came from a plant that I assumed was a Sabra, but might not be. Actually, these kind of look like a little bit like a Grimmel, honestly. But once I grow out more, I'll be able to compare the leaves. But I also have a tray of reds that I planted out. I just had a whole bunch of seeds in a bag that were starting to germinate, so I popped them all in there. A couple of plants that I neglected, they get knocked over by the cats, and they start drying out. So hopefully that one comes back. The one in the back did come back. But yeah, and then I've got the Patomba seedlings in here, kind of in individual pots as well as like little batch pots, and then a couple of black Grumichama seedlings. But yeah, some of those seedlings are popping up. I've got some Patanga tuba seedlings over here from my couple fruits that I was able to try, and they're looking really good. They're just so easy to grow. The table over here is doing pretty nicely. I planted the Arasa seedlings or seeds in here. They haven't popped up yet, but I've never planted those seeds before. The one tree I had, I actually bought it um, as a much smaller tree before it started fruiting. So I'm not familiar with the growth rate of these, but I'm sure they'll pop up in like a month or two. But I have these ruby honeys that I got from Anderson Tropicals a little bit ago, and they're looking really nice. I have one Pluto de Mercury that popped up. Um, these other ones kind of haven't really done much yet. I'm certain that given them enough time, they'll eventually pop up. Um, Much like this Otto Anderson Asukana Ray. There. It's been a couple of months and it took it a while to get to that point. So sometimes you just got to give your seeds time. Other times you've got to make sure that worms aren't eating them, like this guy. So where the worm at? I know you're in here. What? Okay, I'm gonna have to hunt for that. It is not in a good spot. Cool. I'll figure that out later. They're usually active at night, so I'll probably come out here with a flashlight tonight. Make sure they're not munching on anything they shouldn't be. That's what happened to the this guy, the brain fart, um, fruit of mystery. They got decapitated by a worm, and but the other two fruits of mystery are doing really well. Like you see, this one right here is actually starting to push out some growth from the bottom, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, the Eugenia or Raponda Blacks, the Cydia myrtoides, the purple forest guava, all looking really good. Oh, is the worm in here? Is this where he's at? Maybe. Yeah, these giant red crystal Phytranthas. Actually, the RDP is a Phytrantha, not an Oriana. So all these little seedlings are doing really well. These Garcinias are popping up too. These are the intermedia seedlings, and then the Pacaries. The only one that hasn't popped up so far is this one, but we'll just give it some time. But yeah, seedlings looking good. And let's look around out here. Just pretty much all the Jabos out here are doing really nice. This Scarlet got a little bit of dieback from the heat, I'm pretty sure. But since it started raining, you can see all this pretty new growth coming out. They tend to look the worst in the middle of the year and the best like just before it gets hot and just after it's hot. So yeah, we got a red right here. You can see some dieback on it. I'm pretty sure that's just from the heat, but I mean it looks fantastic. This is a seedling from this guy, kind of the best looking one that I have. It's probably about ready to be potted up again. We'll see. I might put it in the ground. I don't know yet. Think about it. The Blue Jabo di Caba. This is their Mirceria Vexeter. Looking just, it's a beautiful tree. I know the fruits aren't really sought after, but like I've always just thought it's just a very, very pretty tree. The fruits will be a bonus whenever it makes them, but I mean just look at that. It's so ornamental. But it's doing really good, especially after the rain. It looks like it's perked up a bit. Here's the Arasa boy that made the fruit. It's actually pushed out a bunch of new flowers here. So here's hoping now it's able to actually fruit after that. But we'll keep an eye on it. It's actually flowering pretty heavily all over the plant. So pretty excited about that. There's a seedling Cambuca there that's just taken off. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I might plant it next or near to the other Cambuca so we can get some cross-pollination going eventually if they ever flower. What is this guy? I think this is the Mirceria floribunda purple variety. Looking pretty good. The Anomaly Jabo di Caba back there. It pushed out a whole bunch of new growth. It looks really fantastic. I think there's a animal making a nest in here. What is it? Better not be another. I had a black widow or brown widow nesting in it. Better watch my fingers. That might be the remnants of its nest. Or was that the other one? It was in one of the Jabo di Cabas that was a brown widow. These are the sweet Uvias. And then right there, I've moved the Eugenia Burkhartianas up against the red there. 1, 2, 3. And I've got a red crystal Jabo di Caba right there as well. Here's a rainforest plum Eugenia. Just really taken off. A worm was munching on it, but it's probably all right. Looks like a worm was munching on this Oriana Broncamel here. We'll have to go worm hunting today. Not necessarily a bad thing. Like pruning plants is, if the worms do it for you and it's not totally destroying the plant, it stimulates their growth. So I just think of it as a natural way to keep things going. But basically everything's doing pretty well out here. Look at all this fruit on the Calamondin. Looking pretty good. I can't wait to try these out. I had a couple of them that had fallen off, but they were not quite perfectly ripe. But oh, what is that? No, just a leaf. But that thing is loaded. Got that for like $5 or $10 at Walmart. Couldn't pass that up. And then over here, my yellow Grumichama is looking very, very pretty. I want to get fruit off of it before I put it in the ground. But this thing will definitely be going into the ground at some point, maybe out front. I'm not sure yet. It's just a very ornamental evergreen tree. So see where that ends up. The mother plant to all the Patombas is looking pretty good. Once it fruited, it dropped a lot of the old leaves, and it's got this really pretty peeling bark going on right now. Just it's like super ornamental. But I'll probably keep this one in a pot. I put a couple of the seedlings in the ground. So and then the Plinia elongata, This thing actually probably might be one of the hardiest jaboticabas for Florida. It seems to not care that it's completely soaking wet. It also doesn't care when it gets dried out. It's basically been in like the hottest part of the lanai. I moved it over here at some point, but like it can take the full sun pretty well. Same with the Trunciflora over here. This is the Gigante variety of Trunciflora. This one will probably end up in the ground as well. I'm going to try grafting from it first, though, just so I have a backup. But let's move outside. This is going to be try to keep it under 30 minutes. Just some random Suriname cherries, and must be a worm going to town on this thing. Strawberry guava, tons of black sapote seedlings all over here. And let's go out here. The MBs are doing fantastic. Pretty much all the Garcinias are, I feel like they're starting to take off. The only ones that aren't really are the ones that are more recently planted over there. That's the seashore mangosteens. But the ones that are still in the pots are, I think they're starting to get a little root bound, but they're still pushing out new growth and they're looking really nice. But I didn't want to plant these out at my mom's house until I knew that she was going to stay there, but it seems like she might be now, so we might go and try and plant those there at some point. But here's a young MB. Here's this one MB that I was worried about for a while, but it's obviously still alive. Like it didn't look good when I got it. So hopefully now that it's been in the ground, it'll really start to figure itself out. My hopes are up for that. So at some point, if they all survive, there will be 4 MBs in here. But the sun has just been really harsh on them. You can see kind of with this one. This is the one that's been in the ground the longest. Like it died back on this branch. I think that was a mixture of lack of rain and too much sun. But overall, the plant looks healthy, so I'm not worried about it. Like you can see, there's new growth coming out right there. The new growth that tried to come out whenever it was hot and dry kind of died back. My pepper plants are getting just destroyed by these stink bugs right now. What they do is they come in. Here's one right here, actually. They suck the juice out of them. It's a problem with like tomatoes and stuff. Usually this time of the year, but I mean the pepper plants are perennials in Florida. You can kind of just leave them in the ground and treat them like a bush, and you'll lose some batches of peppers if you're not on top of them. But they just produce so heavily. Like, I mean, even if the bugs do get them, if you pick them earlier, they won't rot. Really what the problem is, they poke a hole in it and it starts to rot. But the fruit don't really get spoiled until it starts to rot. But I had some hope for this garnet cherry of the Rio. It did push out a new little branch down here, but it died back. And actually, like since I've been looking at it, I think some animal came through and chewed into the bark on them. I had another one that had this like same chew mark on it, and it's also died back. So some critter really liked the flavor of that bark and kind of screwed me over. So I'll have to reach out and get another one of those at some point, maybe. But maybe I'll just put another variety of Eugenia right there. We'll see. But they don't seem to bother the jaboticaba. So this is that red that I put in the ground, and it's been in the full sun and it seems to be taking it just fine. So, but we'll go down this side and then come back around the other way. And I'll finish in the front yard. But this rack of bananas from the Orinoco is still going. This one's kind of split. I'm not sure what happened there, but I have a feeling this banana's probably no good. But they look like they're starting to ripen up, but they've been looking like they're going to ripen up for a bit now. But I'm really I want to try them tree ripened. We'll see. Variegated kumquat has a couple of fruits on it. It's coming back strong. Got a soursop seedling in here that I popped in. I figured, they don't. step on a slug? Yeah, step on a slug. Um, I know they're kind of hard to fruit here because it gets colder, but I do have a family friend who I went over to his house. Just it was in it's not even a couple miles away from here, but he had soursops on a soursop tree. You could see kind of the old ones that had shriveled up. Um, Maybe didn't quite get pollinated properly, but he says he's been getting fruit off of them for a couple of years. So I'm not too worried about not being able to get fruit, but I think this is a good spot because it's kind of in between the house. It should stay warmer, and eventually, like it'll grow up, and I'll drop this pigeon pea back, and it'll kind of replace, this pigeon pea. And then update on the large June plum. Well, it turns out you can top these things, and they'll come back. So look at that. It's doing well. Got a red here that I put in the ground. I haven't been watering it, so it's not been too happy about that. That's what this is, I'm pretty sure. It really did get hot and dry and didn't rain for a couple of weeks. So it's probably going to have a little bit of dieback, but it'll come back stronger. I also planted, I mentioned, one of the patomas. Here it is. This is a seedling right next to the Patanga tuba, so hopefully we'll get some hybrids. This sweet uvea is still trying to get used to being in the hot sun, but it'll come through. If not, I have backups. My biggest strawberry guava here is doing pretty good. But let's go back over here. Still no fruit on that thing. It did try to push out flowers earlier, but when it got hot and dry, it dropped them all. Oh yeah, the Cambuca. Let's check this guy out. Just an absolute champion. There's a little bit of bug damage on it, but overall, I mean, look at that. Just green growth, and the shape of it is so cool. I cannot wait till this tree gets bigger. It's I think out of the large fruited yellow jaboticabas, this is probably the one for 9B, Florida. If you're, I know Adam at Flying Fox Roots has one has several of them in his yard, and he's in north of Orlando. So Tampa area, definitely throw one of these in the ground. It takes the heat, it takes the drought. You do need to water it if it gets too dry. It is a jaboticaba. I think if you had it in a situation like over there, I've got that Plenia Oriana that I don't have to water at all. At least since I planted it, just because it's protected by a little bit of shade. But like full sun, if it's not raining, it's going to need some water at some point. I'm sure if you set the environment up or your area up properly, at least as a young tree, I don't think it'll need water once it's larger and more established. But as a young tree, keep an eye on it. See, starfruit doing fantastic. Still, I can't tell where those little jackfruits are in there, but maybe they died. I'm not sure. But got a pineapple in there that's still pushing out. This pitiful citrus tree here. This is a red ring perlime. It's got some kind of disease. I don't know if it's greening. I don't think it is. I think it's some kind of deficiency, because if you look at the leaves, it doesn't really have the signs of greening. It's like maybe a nitrogen deficiency or something. Like one thing I know for sure, like this soil here has just been pretty dang poor in this specific spot. I stepped on another slug. You gotta watch out here today, apparently. But the soil here has been pretty poor. Like we had an oak tree fall down. I think I mentioned this in another video. But before I had all this set up, they actually drove a tractor back through here, and it kind of went through the back, and it ruined all the pipes I had in the ground back there, actually. So that was one of the reasons I didn't want to do irrigation anymore, because I didn't want to have to fix my irrigation system. So I've been growing like this. But they came all the way around, like all the way over there, and drove all the way over there and really compacted everything. And it was like just horrible quality soil. Even before that, like it was just kind of pitiful that the grass wouldn't even grow there. So I mean, I really worked on this spot specifically. You can see in my earlier videos just throwing compost out here like daily, or just scrap food and whatnot. And you know, with all the plant matter growing up, it's getting better. So yeah, so I'm hoping this guy will eventually come through. Maybe I'll throw some organic citrus fertilizer on it. Oh, there's a slug right there. Those little sluggy boys. But we'll see if it goes away on me, or if we lose the tree, then I'll just plant something else there that's not a citrus and does a little bit better. Probably another Garcinia. But here, I got some pepper plants. I can't remember what these are. I'm pretty sure they're a jalapeno, but they might not be. I don't usually grow jalapenos. I usually grow the Chinen species, like the really spicy ones, but jalapenos still are like my favorite thing. It looks like a squirrel's been digging in here. Thanks, squirrel. Jalapenos are still one of my favorite peppers, so you can just buy the store-bought ones and throw them in the ground. They usually pop up. But this American Beauty dragon fruit, I did take out the ones that had rotted away. I found, interestingly, there were termites that had gotten into the core of the dragon fruit and were starting a colony in there, so I disposed of those guys. But I did manage to cut the top off of one of them and get roots to come out, so I didn't lose it completely. And actually, I put it over here. Let me see how it's doing. Like up against this oak tree. Hopefully I don't run into the snake here. Ugh. So, as an experiment, technically my property line is this side of the oak tree. I know the neighbor's yard back here. Yeah, there it is right there. So you can see I just popped it in the ground, and hopefully it starts going up the tree, and we'll at least have a backup that if I can't get fruit off of it, I can at least get some cuttings off of it. I think that's the idea. So put the pomelo in the ground here, put another ice cream bean there. You can see it got a little burnt up when it got dry and hot the past couple of weeks, but the rain's perking them back up. You can see the leaf curling on the pomelo there. It's from just the heat and the lack of water. Now these mangosteens are doing good here. Let's see if there's any growth. Oh yeah, look. So this is the oldest seashore mangosteen that I've had in the ground, and it's finally got some new branches coming out. So looks like that thing's pretty happy. Oh yeah, look. There's another new branch here coming out. That's cool. We're all good on that front. Got a single sugar apple this year, but this is the first time I put that sugar apple in the ground. Not too worried about that. Black sapote. The directly sown Java de Cab is still right there, doing all right. There's some kind of citrus here that I got from the where is he at? Yeah, the forest orange, as I called it. I posted a video a while back, so that's a seedling from that. This Wampy doesn't look too great. Looks like it's getting burnt up by the sun. So hopefully it'll just, I'm guessing it's working on its root system, that it'll push out a whole bunch of new growth. If not, oh well. Got another ice cream bean right there. The purple possum and giant granadilla passion fruits are going to town on this freaking oak canopy too. So this is the giant granadilla, and the kind of forked leaf one is the purple possum. And we got some fruits on our lemon cattleya guava. I've had one fruit off of this like a year ago, and then I put it in the ground, and it took a while to get established, but it's taken off. Like you can see the bark peeling down here, and there's a whole new branch coming out. So I think what I want to do with this is let it grow up and out, and then I'll shape it later, probably. This jackfruit right here, you can see, is doing fantastic. So some progress there. This banana's finally taken off. I've got a cherry moya in here from a seedling. And I've got a little long on that we grew from a store-bought seed. There's another pomelo in here. See how well it's doing. Looks like it's getting eaten up by some bugs. That's fun, but let's see if I can get a picture out of it. There it is. Yeah, so it's got some new growth coming out, so it's doing all right. Let's look at some other Garcinias. So got the Xanthochymus right here. The new growth came out. Looks like it's finally starting to get hardened off to the sun. So that's cool. This lemon drop, finally, after I planted it and completely destroyed its root ball, is pushing out some new leaves. So there's a couple of them. Yeah, there's some there. Yeah, here's some here. It looks like it's still trying to work out the kinks, but you know, something's better than nothing. That means it's still alive. It's still trying to grow. I think it's still working on its root system. There may be some fertilizer in there that it's not happy about. So it might just take a couple of months of rain to flush it all out, or a year. I know the other one over there, it took a year for it to really start growing again too. So, but I've figured out that you just kind of let the plants work themselves out. You don't worry about it too much, because then you just make the problem worse. Kind of like this Xanthochymus here, right? It's been burnt up. The only assistance I gave it is kind of surrounding it a bit more. Now you can see it does have some green on it still. This is most definitely right here. This is like sunburn. So at some point I think it'll get enough energy and it'll push out a new branch and it'll be all good. Let's see. This is just another. Well, this is that chocolate bubblegum pepper I had in a pot a while ago. But here's the directly sown fuckery, and you can actually see it starting to pop out right there. That little red line, that's actually the top of the plant. So it's starting to pop out, and that was the directly sown one. And then here's the one that I had in a pot and just put directly in the ground as soon as the roots started coming out, and it's doing pretty good. So I have those two next to each other. The Luke's Garcinia, it's kind of in stasis, but you know, provided it ample shade. It's definitely getting a decent amount of sun, like within this dappled light. But you know, I think it'll transition pretty nicely out into full sun. But no new branches yet. I'm 100% sure it's working on its root system there. Is this a slug? Yeah, there's a slug. Look at that. These are the guys I've been stepping on. Yeah, oh, they're sticky. The slug slime doesn't come off even with soap. I should not have touched it. Yeah, here's my chocolate Carolina Reaper. It looks fantastic. So I think I saw some flowers coming out on it again. It's about that time of the year. Yeah, here we go. You can see the little flowers dangling off. So we'll have spicy peppers to munch on in the next couple of weeks. The Achacha is doing all right. You can see it got a little burnt up. I think this is either from the wind from the hurricane, or there was some just residual fertilizer in the soil from when it was in a pot, and it may have gotten burnt since then. But I mean, some of the leaves you can see look fine. This is some new growth, like same generation of growth as this. So I'm not sure what the burn is, but it overall looks much better. It's got some new growth coming out the top there. I would not be surprised if after this rain we see even more. Yeah, here's another little bunch of new growth coming out. So yeah, just let them figure it out and do their thing. Moving on over, Quaimuck is shedding some older leaves, which probably means it's about to push out a whole bunch of new growth. It's just doing fantastic. This thing is like, I don't know, 7 feet tall now, coming up to 8 feet tall. So there's a mosquito biting me. Get out of there. Bananas are still ripening up. Got a new pineapple in here. I put one of my anthropophagas in here. It's gotten a little burnt up from the sun, but it's coming through. This persimmon is the Ichikaki K Jiro. No fruit this year, but you can see there's a bunch of new growth coming out. So I'm hoping next year we'll get some flowers and some fruit. And then I might have to prune it to shape because it's kind of looking lopsided there. I don't want it to get crazy, but hopefully it starts growing out towards the light. Figs, it looks like it might be entering its kind of like dormancy stage again. So usually what happens is beginning of the year has no leaves. This is a Celeste fig. Beginning of the year it has no leaves. Come June, July, it's got fruit all over it. And then once the rains come in, that kind of gets this rust on the leaves, some kind of fungal thing. It's pretty normal for that to happen in Florida, but they'll drop all their leaves probably around October, November, and then it starts all over again. So gave us a pretty decent harvest this year, but I did prune it. I might have to prune it again. I got to learn how to do that a little better, but it had a lot of like branches in the center, and I need to open it up a little bit so I can get in there and actually harvest the figs. So looks like something's been eaten up on this jackfruit bunch over here. I mean, these jackfruits are starting to branch out, so they're doing fantastic. Got some Valencia oranges on the Valencia orange. It's looking a little chlorotic. Not sure why. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's greening or what, or I'm trying not to worry about it too much. I don't think it is greening because it has uniform discoloration for the most part. I know not always discoloration is uniform, but I mean, that looks pretty uniform to me. So I might hit it with some organic citrus fertilizer and see what happens. And then this mango tree looking pretty good. This is the Julie mango. Step on another slug. But yeah, so it used to be a little twig, but it's starting to not be a twig anymore. So hopefully we'll get some stuff. Man, these slugs are everywhere. Hopefully they're just eating up all the old growth and not my plants. I'll walk through the center here and call it because I think this video is already 30 minutes. But here's my Sabra, looking pretty burnt up. I'm imagining again once end of September hits, it'll probably push out a whole bunch of new growth and look like a completely different tree. The sunlight this time of the year is just harsh. Cherry, this is the Suriname cherry, the black one. The Rolinio is looking fantastic right there. We got a couple of racks of bananas. I've got a lemon growing in there that I grew from a seed. Still doing good. And then my cacao looks like it's dropping its old leaves and focusing on all the new growth. I see a bunch of new growth coming off it. It's still doing pretty dang good in there. And I guess the last thing I can touch on is these mangoes here. So this tree is finally looking like an actual mango tree. Honestly, the only thing I did different was just let everything grow up around it. I know people say like, oh, you shouldn't let your plants grow around your mango trees because it's gonna compete, but I really don't think that's the case. This thing is just it hasn't been happier, so I can only assume that either it just finally figured itself out, or the changes I've made to allowing these other plants to come in and kind of shade it out a little bit, like at least around the base of the plant, that kind of invigorated it. So that's looking pretty dang good. The orange sherbet over here is really filled in. I'm hoping we get some mangoes off it next year. I certainly think it's big enough to at least have one or two. I'm not too worried about that. I did tip it, and all this new growth is post me tipping it. So you can see what happens when you tip your mangoes. Instead of one stalk coming out, you get three. So each stalk that you have is a potential to push out a bunch of flowers, which flowers equals fruit. And you can see over here where I tipped it, it's starting to push out a whole bunch of different nodes. So I won't tip these nodes. They need to harden off for the winter, because it can get cold, and if they're if you have young tender growth in the winter and it gets frozen, you're probably not going to get fruit after that. So, and it might not even get frozen, it might just get beaten out by the wind. And even like cold wind can damage the plant's leaves too, even if it doesn't get below freezing. So, and then the last thing here is the lemon zest. And this tree is just so pretty. It's got those little twisty leaves, and yeah, maybe it's big enough to hold a fruit for next year. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably let it try and hold a fruit. You can see I tipped this one as well, and it didn't push out multiple on every branch, but some branches it did. But I think it's got a really nice shape to it. The only thing that's a little concerning is it is leaning towards the sunlight a bit. Not sure if that's going to be a problem in the long run. Maybe it'll eventually straighten out, but we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so we're at 35 minutes. It's kind of a lot to go through, but it's kind of what's going on over here. I'll kind of close out with a couple of other ones. So I did put a purple forest guava in the ground there, and this Eugenia Raponda Black right there, doing fantastic. So, you know, if you haven't planted any trees in your yard and you got space for it, definitely go for it. They're rewarding. If you do it right, you don't have to worry about them too much. In no time, you'll get, even with the citrus greening out there, you'll get some fruit. It cost me $15 for this is a lime quat, and I'm already getting fruit off of it. It's not even been in the ground for a year. So go out there, plant something tasty. Ain't no point eating those Walmart oranges anymore when you could have your own homegrown backyard oranges. Or, if you're not in a place where you can grow them in a pot, or grow them in the ground, grow them in a pot. They do pretty well. So, yeah. If you got it this far into the video and you didn't skip, thanks for watching. If you did, I don't blame you. And, still appreciate it. Y'all take care. Check it out.